This, my friends, is just a regular marigold. And some people mix up they mix up the calendula with the marigold because I think the calendula is often called a pot marigold, but I think that's how it goes. But they're not the same. Look at the leaves in this. Do you see how the leaves are? This is a regular marigold. And look how the leaves are on it there. Now there's different types of marigolds. These are marigolds too, and they have just a few petals, much like the calendula. And some of the calendula have more petals than others too, as you probably have seen from pictures. But they are different, and especially the leaves show the difference. Right down in here, they're not blooming right now. Well, they were, but I've picked them. I keep them pretty picked. That is calendula, and that's the leaves. They are totally different than the marigold leaves. Can you see that? Yeah. And those haven't bloomed yet, but they will shortly. The leaves are very, very different. On these, I've been picking them for quite a while. I need to get more food in here to these plants. And these are just empty because I've picked them all, and they're mainly the stems that have popped up, and the leaves are very thin and small. But as you can see, they're still, even like this, they're still very different than the marigold leaves. Now, if you feed them more and the leaves are big, like I just showed you in that other container. Okay, now this is just sage in front of the calendula here, but see the leaves? And then how it comes up, very, very different from the marigolds. This is calendula. Here are some. Now I've got some yarrow on here too. But these are calendula heads that I have picked, and they're starting to dry. I use them fresh too, but I try to dry some for this winter, but they don't usually, especially this year, I'm not getting that far with them because I've been using them so much. Here's another one with some more calendula on it. I was starting to build this jar up, but let's see if I can get it. I have been using it. I'm way back down. I just pick off the little petals and put in there after they're dried. Sometimes I'll just use the fresh petals. Now that's saline solution that's sitting in for the eyes, because I am making a eye solution for one of my little chihuahuas that's having real problems with his, he's my disabled, and he gets a lot of problems real easy, and his eyes have really been gunking up, and he's trying to get the gunk out and rubs and scratches his eye, and so I make that, and it just relieves him, so he doesn't even fight me to put then you strain that, and this is just the liquid with the eyedropper in there. And now he doesn't fight me at all because he knows it soothes and comforts his eyes so much. Okay, let's see if I can get this. See the green area there? That's when, after the flower dries up, those little curly, how it kind of curls. It's making it seed, but it's not ready to use yet when it's green like that. Okay, here are the seeds taken apart from they all kind of curl around, connected at the bottom, and then you take them apart. They almost look like little worms. I thought it was kind of creepy at first when I first saw them. But they're hard, they're little seed pods, and they sometimes curl around like some of those are, and they almost look like little worms or something, but they're not. They're hard, and they're little calendula seeds. Okay, so now I have got some of the dried ones on here, and I'm going to be, while we're talking, I'm going to be pulling off the petals and adding to these because I really need to. So let's talk about some of the ways that you can use your calendula. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at you totally because I'm trying to get this stuff on my lap where it needs to be. Alright. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Now, I showed you the pictures of the calendula, and it's very, by the way, you can see the pictures, but in real life, when you're there and you're picking them, it's a very resinous flower, kind of sticky and resinous, but it's really fragrant. To me, it smells kind of like the desert. My mom used to live up on the high desert, and you go out there and walk through the sagebrush and desert plants. I wonder if calendula grows up in the desert very well, because it reminds me of that, walking across the desert so much. There's just this, early in the morning, there's just this, I can't even describe it. It smells like calendula flowers. Calendula flowers smell like that to me. Okay, and the neat thing too about the flower, I'm not getting many petals picked here. The neat thing about the flowers is, what was I going to say? I get myself sidetracked here. Is that they have a long growing season. They'll grow if you can keep them fairly cool. They don't like real hot weather. They kind of start drying up on you. But they will produce all summer, fall. When I used to live down in the valley on our mild winter, sometimes I had calendula flowers even in the winter. They really like to produce. So yeah, calendula flowers are really good that way. You can't say that about all plants. I really like calendula. Let's see. Try to think what else. They're in the Asteraceae family, like a lot of them that have the bright flowers that come out. And the plant energetics, it's more warming and drying. I'm finding most herbs are, except for ones like Tulsa's not so much that way. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsi plants are more cooling, and marshmallow plants, that type of a thing. This is more of the warming, drying type of energetic. And I guess you would say the flavor is pungent or bitter, but to me they're not bitter. They really don't have a whole lot of flavor. It's more the wonderful smell. You've heard of safflower. I think they say that's the most expensive herb on the market. Well, a lot of people will use calendula petals in place of safflower. I think it's safflower, yeah. And I've often put the petals, when I had a lot, I would put them in the maybe soup stews and in my salads, anywhere you can get them in. They're a great additive to your foods because they're so good for you. They're very, very good on the stomach and insides when you eat them, because they're how would you explain it? They're calming and healing. It's only words that come to mind when I think about that. Let's see. The only part that you use is the upper parts, the aerial parts, your flower buds, the flowers. They say you can use the leaves, but I've never used the leaves. I guess I should maybe try, but I always just use the petals. So, and I keep the leaves for my plant, so it'll keep growing and give me more flowers, because the flowers are so beautiful. Sometimes I go out and I see a bunch of them have opened, and I think, oh, they're so pretty, I don't want to cut them off and take them. But if I don't keep taking them, the plant may not keep producing them. You have to keep, because the plant is trying to get to where it's making seeds. That's its whole goal, is to make seeds and reproduce. But you got to keep picking the flowers, and I need the flowers, so I have to pick them. Sometimes I'll leave one or two here or there, maybe for seeds and also for the pollinators to draw them in. I think we need to change my name of my channel to The Traveling Garden, because I'm looking to be moving out of here again in a couple months. I hope, hopefully into a real home. And if that happens, I'm going to have to bring my pots along, and I can't get very far along. And I don't know how long. There's one place that I'm looking into, and if I do get that one, I don't know how long I'll be there. It'll be a rental. Because it's very, very elderly people that own that. I might be able to help them a little, and they can give me a place, and I'll pay them rent too, but I might be able to be a help to them. If that works out. I don't know if it's going to work out or not yet. But, yeah, the traveling garden. So my plants mainly are going to be in my pots and stuff for a while, until I can, maybe someday, I keep trying and putting some in the ground, and maybe someday I'll be able to keep it there long enough to do something. Well, I was there about 6 or 7 years in my last place, so I got my ground pretty good in some areas. I kept extending and getting new sections in my garden, so I had to keep rebuilding the soil in the new areas. But anyway, let's go back to the calendula. I don't know why I got off on that, chasing that rabbit. Okay, let's see. Is this one dry? This one looks dry. All right. It's known as an astringent, and but it does fight inflammation, so that's good. It's good for the lymphatic system. You know, you have a lot of your lymph areas. It's really good to massage in here. Gently massage that, because you're moving some of your lymph and getting it moving and out of there. Make some calendula tea with the petals, and sit there and drink your tea. Set it down, massage a little, drink your tea. Really good for the lymphatic system. Let's find some more flowers here. It's known as an how do they say that? Immune modulator. So it helps to keep your immune system where it needs to be. It has UV protection, which I think is kind of interesting. It'd be good, and I think a long time ago I made a sunscreen salve. And I think what I did was it's been years back, I soaked the petals in water. Aloe vera would be really good, because it's got some UV a little bit in its protection, and it's so good on the skin. But yeah, I'm trying to remember if I made the tea and added it to my sunscreen, I guess. I don't know, it's been years ago. Now I should have wrote it down. I think that's the only time I ever did that. I was just experimenting, and if I wrote it down, it's in one of my many books. I have tons of notebooks with notes in them. Oh goodness, I need to get through there and organize those or something, but that'll probably never happen. Just the way it goes. Okay, another flower here. It's really good on the skin. I have put it in my salves, because I used to make skin salves for my skin. Okay, I made calendula oil, I'm remembering now. And with the calendula oil, I added it with some other things and made my skin salve. Sometimes I just use the oil. And I believe that was the one I gave to my daughter one time. Something was going on with her skin, and she said it really helped. So yeah, it's really known a lot for that, for skin issues, from eczema to wounds to chicken pox. Oh, you know, I told you I was using it for my dog, for his eyes. It's also really good for conjunctivitis in your eyes. Um, Gave that, made some eye solution and gave to somebody. I can't remember who I gave it to now. I'm always giving things to people and stuff, so friends and family, you know. And my son had gotten an infection. He'd got a piece of metal or something in his eye, and I couldn't get it out. He had to go to the doctor. But what I did do for him was made an eye solution for him. And one of the things that I used was calendula, and it helped to heal his eye right up, because he didn't, at the time he was out of work and didn't have the money to buy all the medicine and stuff, so I gave him some, and he said it worked great. So I'm glad about that. It's antimicrobial. That's probably why it works against, you know, infections and things in your eyes or whatever. They say it's good if you have mastitis. Now, if you raise goats, and I didn't have that problem with my goats getting mastitis. Maybe 30 years ago, I think I might have had one that had a little bit of mastitis. But calendula salve would be really good to gently massage for the mastitis, among other things that you would have to do, but that would help. Okay, one more here. They say it's good for radiation protection if you're using it on your skin, and probably if you're taking it internally too, as teas and stuff. That'll help you be, I need to get some more dried flowers here to work on while I'm talking to you, but I think I'll just, I don't know. I have a few notes here to remind myself some of the things that I can tell you about it. It does have, back to the UV protection, it does have UV protection in putting it in a sunscreen. I don't know, I know I was talking about the sunscreen, but I don't know if I told you about the UV protection. It's probably not real high like some of these sunscreens you get, but I won't use sunscreens because of the chemicals in them. I've heard some doctors say they think that those chemicals actually give you skin cancer. So I don't remember, I probably read a few reports on it and maybe some testing or something, but it's been many years, so I can't really give you exact things on that. But yeah, I remember hearing that. So now you can make poultices, if you know about poultices. You can use the calendula with that, and of course your tinctures, your teas, as I said. You can make a calendula vinegar if you want to put on your salad. I'll talk about that later, another tip. Let's see. They say that the sap from the stem of where the little how do you say that? Calluses on the plant, that the juice from that will get rid of warts and even corns. I don't know. Get rid of your corns. Oh, and calendula is really good for diaper rash. You can make your own ointment, and it's really, really good because it's so soothing on the baby's skin. I'll tell you something else that's really good for diaper rash, because my daughter, when she was a baby, got a really bad case of it, and I called the doctor, and he said, put your black tea, put the tea bags on her bottom and then put her diaper on and just leave it in there against her skin for several hours, maybe all night. Which I left it on all night, and the next morning it was almost gone. So tea bags are astringent. I've mentioned this tip before. It's really good, but calendula is also soothing too. So after the night of it being on the tea bags, there's just a little bit left in the morning. I would gently rub the calendula salve on it, and boy, that ought to really cure the whole thing, I would think, if you do it right. They say when you do the thing, use the yarrow, when you make the mixture with the calendula for the diaper rash, use some yarrow with it too. So yarrow's got an antibacterial in it that's really good. If you want to moisturize your feet, you can use your calendula, chickweed, plantain, comfrey, chamomile, all of those together. You could make a tea and pour it over your feet and soak your feet or wash your feet with the tea. You could make a salve with all of those and rub that into your feet. Yeah, it's really good for moisturizing your tired feet and helping your feet to feel better. It's good to make a tea if you have an internal hemorrhage. Now, what I did with that when I had a problem with bleeding inside because of my blockage, I quit eating for several days. I had to. And I took yarrow, I drank yarrow tea, and that helped, but mine wasn't really bad. And that's just for me. I can't give you advice. I'm not a doctor, and everybody's a little different. I haven't examined you or anything, and I couldn't anyway. So I'm just telling you a few things that I've done, guys. Just, you have to use some common sense for yourself and what you do. Calendula is good if you want to make a wash for a sore throat or a nasal spray or something like that. I think I told you it has some antiviral properties too. So it helps with colds. It's good for your liver. I mean, calendula is just a overall really good plant. A good time to harvest it is in the morning, after the dew is off from it, but it hasn't got too hot in the day yet. And I'm going to have to close this. I'm getting too long. You can store it in paper bags. They say not in jars, but what I did when I put them in a jar is I put cheesecloth over the top with a rubber band. Now I might store it in the jar a few minutes with the metal band if I know I'm in and out of the jar a lot and it can get some air because it does mold. And with that, I'm going to let you go and enjoy your marigold. And God bless. God has given us so many wonderful herbs. Aren't they just awesome? And really good food, too. It's good to be on a good diet with lots of veggies. All different kinds. Don't get stuck on just a few. And I've got to shut up and get out of here. Give me a thumbs up if you would. God bless. Catch you next time.